Thank you, Masa, for organizing this. I'm Nuno Goncalves. I'm Events and Projects Officer at European Animal Research Association, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about non-technical summaries. And non-technical summaries you probably know about, but maybe the public that it is kind of intended for doesn't know about it. So we need to kind of make them even more accessible. And the questions are of course, why and how. The why is easy. So society actually trusts scientists, and this is actually from a Eurobarometer from 2021. It is not specific on animal research, but it says that majorly most countries in Europe actually trust in researchers, and I think they're reliable, but they think they're not the best at communicating. So that's something that we have to deal with because people really want to listen from scientists. Regarding animal research, particularly, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of public opinion polls. In Europe, the last one, as Nuno said, was in 2018. We at EARA are kind of working to change that and have a more recent opinion poll, but this is one from the UK from 2018 as well. And it says that people are increasingly becoming more interested in everything that's regarding animal welfare and animal lab research. One of the questions that was kind of changed in the UK survey was the question: I can accept experimentation as long as it's for biomedical purposes. And this question, even though it was wildly accepted first, it started seeing a decrease, which led to a change in the question to as long as there is no alternative. And this was also not fully effective either, because the public usually is often inundated with images about animal research that don't come from biomedical research institutions or researchers. So they are inundated with scandals, with animals supposedly being mistreated by scientists. And this kind of makes a general assumption that all the scientific community are torturers and are not really advancing science just by using animals. So these are the images that are supplied by the animal activist groups, and this is something that we need to address and be more proactive in. But before proactivity, we have a reactive communication, usually when it comes to face of a scandal or a media communication crisis. And this is something that the institutions have to deal with, but it's not the best strategy. It leads to reduced trust because it always is a little bit defensive, and also for higher stress and lower efficiency from the institutional officials. What the public does not see is, for instance, animal in labs in contexts that are being taken care of, such as this image. Also, scientists struggling with experiments, be them animal research or other types of research, and also success stories. So this is a cardiologist that did an operation on a baby with a technique that was optimized in pigs, with animals, of course. And this is his patient 10 years later, showing that her life was only possible to be saved due to animal research. So we need to be more emotional with our stories. I think the scientific community is often very, let's show facts, cold hard facts are enough. They are not. We need to engage with emotion as well. Which leads to proactive communication. This is something that we at EARA are very very confident that institutions should be more proactive in their communications, as it leads to increased public trust, better engagement in mitigating misinformation. And this is kind of the objective of all communications coming out of the directive from the EU from 2010. And it's also where it comes the non-technical summaries as well. So the non-technical summaries are documents provided by the institutions and the scientists that want to bridge biomedical research and the public with their animal research. So they explain the how and the why animals are used in research proposals and their potential societal benefits. And you know who actually reads NTSs? Maybe the general public doesn't, but activists do. So these are two articles. This was one from 2018. where they reviewed all NTSs. This was from Cruelty Free International. It's a NGO, an animalist NGO. And they actually made a review, systematic review of all NTSs in Europe. And they actually had some good findings. It was one of them was consistent implementation across member states. They saw that some member states had them, some didn't have them, some lacked detail. They were of poor quality. They were very vague, especially in some more problematic areas of the categories of the NTSs. They also proposed a need for better templates for adverse effects. They also said that the PDF format was not an accessible format as well for the major audiences, and also that there was little communication regarding the 3Rs. And this is kind of why, not kind of why, but the European Commission did a implementing decision on 2020 for the homogenization of the non-technical summaries in Europe, and they come up with this document for non-technical summaries, which are now in a standardized NTS format with electronic submission. Hopefully to have an increased transparency in a more searchable and open database that is EARA, that you all know about. Reporting obligations, so and outlining detailed stats and animal use in research, and also to have the retrospective assessment as part of the non-technical summary. So after this, the same animal activist group published a new article on this, and they actually acknowledged an improvement on the NTSs. They applauded the mandatory centralized database. They said that enhanced templates actually were something that they still need to work on, especially on predicted arms. There were persistent gaps in this category, and there were still some enduring country-specific discrepancies, and also a need to go more into the 3Rs. So these are the elements of an NTS. You probably all know this. I won't have time to go through them all one by one. But one of the things that we do in our NTS workshops and in NTS writing workshops is try to deconstruct every category by itself and try to make a case study of all these categories and make them more simple. So, for instance, this is the project title. This is the project title from a project submission. Effect of oncolytic adenovirus on pediatric embryonic high-grade tumors of the central nervous system in blah 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 mice. So this has to be in the NTS, but you also can have in brackets a more accessible version of that title, which would be, for instance, measuring the effects of potential childhood cancer treatments in mice. This is another example regarding numbers. This is also something that the activist groups are also very keen on having the exact numbers that are used in each project, and this will also have to include what number of animals are used for mild procedures, moderate, and severe procedures. This is very important to have this perfectly established in an NTS, for instance. So an NTS should be a accessible summary that explains research projects in simple language, short sentences, and absolutely no scientific jargon. It should allow the public to understand the use of animals in science, especially in regards to the 3Rs and complementary methods. Bear in mind that these NTSs, even though they are not widely read by the general public, they should be written for them. So there should be clear differentiation between project proposals and the NTS. And also, this would also benefit from having reviewers of these NTSs to be external lay people, for instance, in animal welfare bodies. And also to manage expectations, be honest about predicted arms, and have data on that itself. So don't overpromise that with that project, you're going to find a cure to certain type of cancer, that you're going to get a new medicine. Just manage expectations and be sure that that it's not misinterpreted by the audience. And this is the part where I can kind of connect with Damien's talk and talk a little bit about accessibility. Of course, this image is meant for one audience, not for all audiences. But what we believe is that the NTSs can be like a platform where that we can use with all the information that is needed to make a better information for the audience, to be more open and transparent in other formats that is not only the NTS by itself. For instance, you could turn it into an infographic. It's difficult. It's not easy. This is something that we also do in our workshop. So we start with everything, and then we go, as Damien said, iteration, and start going further down the line until we get something that could be an infographic that is used in social media to highlight a certain project in your institution's website. So this is something that could be done, and this is something that we are doing in our workshops. This is another example of one of these infographics for another project. There are a lot of resources nowadays to do this kind of social media friendly communications. So aside from the non-technical project document from the European Commission, we have our own document on non-technical summaries at EARA. Also from Understanding Animal Research, they have a document, but you can pretty much use other types of resources. One of them is ChatGPT. So the latest version of ChatGPT has an option where you can only use sources that are scientifically validated. So for instance, if you ask for something for him to review an NTS, he can do that, and he will only provide information that is already published in scientific articles that are peer-reviewed. And this is something that is very useful. You shouldn't take it at face value, but it often is a good place to start. Regarding images and AI, it's still a little bit iffy. It's very difficult for AI still to get correct the anatomy of animals, but it's something that is going to change in the next few years and maybe next few months. So we kind of encourage NTS to be a tool for transparency on multiple platforms, such as institutional websites, on the research group web pages, on even social media. Also to have it at your institutes, like you have the posters, for instance. And if your NTS is in native language, you can also provide it in English and the other way around. So these are the main takeaways. Don't just use the NTSs as something that is mandatory and that you need to do because it's mandated by the European Commission. They can actually be a good source of information for your science communication outputs. So that's it for me. Any questions? If there are any questions, I can still announce the next non-technical summary that we're going to have, and also the EARA conference, but Kirk already talked about this one. So.
Thank you, Nuno.